Right, I'm just sorting out some handles here, shaping them all down. However, this video is for this one, the K5 knife. So basically, I've been asked to make a knife with K5 on the side to match up with the kipplauf rifles. Well, somebody I'd like to consider a friend, but I'm going to say this knife's been on the go for that long. I'm sure I'm pushing it. Basically, the K5 rifle is a black actioned rifle, wooden handle, but it's got K5 that is recessed and white, painted, inlaid with white. One of the reasons why I've been messing about with the Cerakoting lately. So I've got the blade done. It's one of my road catchers. Now it's slightly different in the way that it's made out of 2mm steel instead of 3mm steel. So Ed, who wanted this knife, wants it making out of 2mm. Something else is going to be slightly different. My logo is going to be on the opposite side, and the handle is going to be made out of walnut with a rosewood sort of bolster on it, brass hardware in it, and it's going to have black and white liners. Now I've still got to sort the handle out. However, we're going to start off putting the K5 in. I'm going to use my laser engraver and basically to recess it enough on this side of the blade, just so when I come to paint it, because I'm going to Cerakote this one again, like I say, that's why I've been learning to Cerakote it sort of satin black colour, and then I'll be able to paint inlay it white. Now I'll just go and get it set up on the laser engraver so I can show you what's going to happen on that. Let me just hold it. There we go, that's probably easier. Right, laser engraver virtually set up. I want just to do some mitigation regarding overheating the blade. So I've got one of those aluminium blocks that I use for air quenching when I'm basically clamping the blades together after heat treat, and I'm going to put that on there basically just so I can keep it cool. I don't want it to be overheating. I've tested this a few times and the steel doesn't get that hot, but I just want to make sure that I've got it right. You can see that I've got the K5, I'm trying to get it round, K5 and a little box for my logo. However, the K5 is actually going to go where the logo is on this side, or where I'd usually put it, and then like I say, the logo is going on that side. So I just need to get the height adjusted. So I'll get the laptop fired up. I'll show you what settings I'm going to be using for it. I do quite a few passes because it's basically just a gentle passes continuously for about 400 altogether. But because there's that many and it keeps it cool, it just nicely just ticks over and does a nice clean deep etch on it. Right, so that square is where the K5 is going to go. If I just stop the laser for a second, change it over onto contours. There we go, so 5 there, K's on like that. I think that should be about the right size where it needs to be. So I've got one of my settings called stainless black there, and I've got here where it's on the current paint, which is 0, loop count, which is 200, so basically does 200 in one direction and 200 in another, and it's at 58 millimeters a second, and power at 35, frequency at 20. Now if I go back over onto where it's the hatch of it, let's highlight it again. So I've got, first one's enabled at 90 degrees, second at minus 45 degrees, and that'll be it. So I don't have the third one set up, and there we go, that's what it's going to hopefully turn out like. Just moved it slightly while I was setting the height because I got it slightly wrong. There we go, that's how it wants to be. Stop that, I've sorted my height out and it's all ready to go, and where's my glasses? Off we go. First pass sorted, just another 199 to go. Sorry about the laser whirring in the background. There we go. So that's the K5 added to the blade. Got a nice bit of a recess, so I should be able to paint that alright. I've just got to put my logo, which is going on the opposite side to what I usually put it on. So I'm just getting the laser set up for that. I'm going to engrave it in the general settings that I would do for putting a normal logo in, because basically all I need is sort of like the lines of it anyway. It doesn't really need too much depth, and hopefully that should show up once I go with the Cerakote. But as long as something's there, I'm quite happy with that. The most important part is putting the K5 deep enough. So I'm just going to set this up. So if I just spin it round, right, just going to line everything up. And that is your general location for this logo. That's about right. Put my glasses on. So this has got 10 passes either way, and then one to finish off with. There we go, so that is all engraved up now. The thing is with that one, because it's a faster etch, I've got to clean it all up. So I've got to give that a rub down. I've still got to sandblast the blades down before I paint them anyway, so it's not much of a major problem. Right, the next job for the K5 knife is working out the handle material. So basically I've got some walnut and rosewood is what I'm making the handle out of. Here's a picture of the front end of the K5, and as you can see it's got the bolster section of this bit here on the front of the stock, which is the rosewood, and then the walnut on the back end, and there's a dividing line in between. So I've just sorted out what that angle is. Right, and it works out, from what I can tell from the photograph, it's about 119 degrees on this side, 61 on this side. It might be 120, but as long as it's somewhere close. So what I've got to do really is, with the end of the walnut, is I'm going to cut it down on this section here, and then I'm going to set my sander up on a slight angle, and then just basically sand the edges off. So hopefully both edges will be exactly the same. And then I'm going to do the opposing side on here on the piece of rosewood. It's just working out how big I actually want the bolster at the front to be. So that's the knife, the handle's there. It'll be from, basically the handle sort of from there to there, so it sort of comes round that sort of area. The bolt at the front's there. I think what I'll do is I'll make it there. So the bolts will actually go through, well, Corby bolt is what I'm using at the front. So that section will have the Corby bolt. Then I've got like 2 additional pins to go there. And then the back end in this section is just going to have a just a brass 4mm pin on that section. So those are, I think that's about right. The blade will be there where the diagonal is, front of the handle. I've got plenty of room from the backing board, so I'm going to sort of make sure that this back piece I'm going to put on first, glue it in, and make sure it's up to that line there, obviously with the liner in between. And then I'll just clamp the front bit on, but I'll make sure that bit's on first, and then I'll put that clamp it on against it. Right, that's the handles glued up. Just got to leave them now, probably till tomorrow. It's luckily now it's got warm weather, the epoxy cures a lot quicker. Usually in winter I leave it a couple of days just because it takes a while, and I know some people use the 5-minute epoxy, but I'm just not a massive fan of it. I have found out in the past that teenagers don't actually work fast enough to use 5-minute epoxy. Next job for me is I'm going to just clean up the logo on this side, and then I'm going to give it a sandblasting, and then I'm going to soak it in acetone overnight, which means that I can then in the morning do with a heat cycle to make sure there's no oil or anything left on the blade, and then I'm going to paint it. Because the handle should be, well, handle material, oh, itchy nose. Handle material should be ready then to glue onto it. Oops, knocking the camera. Well, it's getting warm this week. I need to, anyway, I need to get some kitchen roll. But that's, you see that? It's quite alright, that. Oh, I think that'd be ideal for doing the infill pen. The opposite side, the logo, hopefully that will be able to see that through the black paint when I get that painted up. So I'm just going to give these a wipe down with some brake fluid, stick them in some acetone overnight, and then I can put them in the oven tomorrow morning. So that's be tomorrow's job. So I'll see you tomorrow. We're on tomorrow now. Anyway, I've got the blades sandblasted. I've taken them out of the acetone and I've put them into the oven for basically the degassing, but that just gets rid of all the any possible oily residue that's on them. It should, in theory, burn it all off or get rid of it all. They've been in there for an hour at 82 degrees centigrade, so it doesn't spoil the temper. I'm just letting them cool down naturally at the moment. I don't want to take them out of the oven just too quick. But what I am doing is sorting out the sheath for it. So it's one of my row catchers. The row catcher sheath from the template that I've got made, which is this one here. So I've been using that, and I've been using it on my new press, which is just out of shot on the camera, but I'll put a little clip in here. And I've been deciding what thread to use. Now, the blade is all black, and it's going to have a black liner on it, and I usually sort of like match up a liner colour to the thread. So for example, I've put some orange stitching on that one because it's going to have, it's a pair of row catchers. It's a row catcher and a row zipper, or a catcher zipper. It's going to be a double sheath, so basically it's going to have both of them stitched together. But that one has got orange liners, so therefore I started using the orange stitching, and I'll use orange stitching down the side and stitch them both together. I've got another one that I'm doing which is for Matt, which is a bit of a sort of a Skinner blade. It's a copy of one of his others that he wanted making. So that one's got green handles with red liners, and it's I don't know if to put it with the green if there's going to be more striking, but I'll try and stick to the colours with the liners, so therefore I'm putting a red on that one. But this one, like I say, it's got a black liner, but it does have a white liner. And the white liner, and obviously the white K5 it should have eventually. So I've gone for white. I mean, if Ed don't like it, I can always swap it over, I suppose. But it's just something to stand out. I could put black stitching on it. And I'm going to use black stitching on my next one because there's not really any other colours to make it stand out, to contrast with, sort of thing, or match up with. But I think using the white just makes it stand out a little bit better on the sheath. So that's what I'm going to go for this one. Right, I've got myself set up. I've got my Cerakoting booth, the technical one, but it's not a cardboard box just wrapped up around a filter. Blades down here that I'm going to paint. I've got, I think 4 or 5. What have I got there? 3. So I've got 6 blades there and 7th with that one. So I'm going to do 4 blades. I'm going to do black, and I'm going to save the other 3 and do those white a bit later on when they do the inlay for the K5 blade. Right. First one, let's see how we get on. Oh, hang on a minute. I'll put my air filter on. There we go, sorted. Right. Grab this. First one. Try to get it into some light where I can see it quite easily. That one's alright. Hang it up. Right, so this one's the kipplauf, the K5. So this is the one that's most important. So I'm just going to make sure, mainly it's the blade, because all the rest of it going around the edges will be sanded anyway. I think that's got it. I'm going to stick this in the oven, I'll get another 2 more done. Right, I'm going to get all my gear cleared up. They are now baking for 2 hours at 121 degrees centigrade. Then I'll be able to do the white bits, but I'll get this cleaned up first. Right, I've got to get set up now and sort out the white. So, brilliant white Cerakote. Give that a shake for 10 minutes again. I'm not going to put it to one side again just for a case of spraying. What I'll do is I'll set the camera up here and I'll do the K5. I've got my little practice piece here that I'm going to put the try the white on first and make sure that it's running at the right speed. And then I'm going to put it on to the K5 blade, the proper one. So I'll get all this all sorted again and get those other blades painted, which are down here. Get them done and I'll do the K5. So, right.
The crewmate Bilson died during the struggle. His drunken delirium was blamed for his passing. His body was wrapped in sheets and he was thrown into the North Atlantic. 2 nights later, a member of either that or he'd been dreaming. The desperate sailor insisted that Sims accompany him to the upper deck. Joseph Sims told the Philadelphia reporter that what he saw left him dumbfounded. There, he said, quite clearly, the sailor pointed towards the city as they approached, stood up and calmly walked off the side of the Maribel. On arriving over the years, but seeing as at 84 years old, he was the last surviving member of the expedition. Fingers crossed that comes out alright. So the pen, yeah, it's still got plenty of paint in it, it's weird. Right, I'm not going to do anything else with it, I'm just going to put that into the oven and get it ready for baking. Yeah. I had to stick these on, my eyes started to fail. Yeah, it was straining a little bit. Right, now I've got that out of the way, I can get these other blades painted, get them in the oven, get it all baked. Fingers crossed it comes out spot on. And if it does, I will show you very shortly. Right, I've got to apologise, I got a little bit carried away. Turn this fan off. There we go. Yeah, I'm just sorting the handle material out. So it's already all glued up. And what I thought I'd do is just turn it into a block so it's all shaped up. There we go. So walnut and rosewood. White and black liners. If I just switch around. There we go. So that's them ready to get basically put onto the shaped up and put onto the handle. It's got, you can see the transition. Quite happy with that. Sometimes it can be a little bit awkward to sort out, but what I need to do now is drill my holes in. So I've got a Corby bolt is going to be the main bolt at the front, which is going to be about there, and then I've just got my brass pin that I put at the back. So that's how I usually do my catches. So it's either 2 brass pins, or I'll put the Corby bolt at the front, depending on where it is, especially if it's one of the 2mm blades, or one of my mosaic pins that I've got. I'll put the mosaic pin at the front and still put the smaller pin at the back, just because the shape of the handle, basically, I think it doesn't balance out well. To me, it doesn't balance out well when you've got a big pin at the front and then a large pin at the back. It's only a thin section at the back, so the smaller 4mm pin I think works a lot better than that.
Right, that's a bit tepid with that on. Right, so the handle is pretty much, well, it's sanded down. I've got to polish this up, but I won't show polishing it because I run my polishing wheel going the wrong way, and I don't want anybody to hold it on the same way that I do with the belt, with the mop going the opposite way, because bad things happen to people with polishing mops, especially when it comes to knife makers. So you've got to be really careful. So I'll get this polished and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to put it onto the blade so I can show you what it might look like on the blade. So if I just put it on, I know everything's taped up at the minute so you can't really tell too much. There we go. Looks something like that. I've still got these little brass pins to go at the front. They're going to slide in. Sometimes I'll drill it all the way through, but I haven't done on this particular one. Just as another clamp at the front. But one thing I need to do when I put these in, because I'll glue them all up at the same time, is that when I put them in, I need to make sure that I have something to hold them in, either a spring clamp or some tape or something like that. Basically because if you don't, the pressure of the epoxy on the inside when you clamp it all together, it starts pushing these pins out and they end up sort of like being like that. So I need to make sure that they're glued in. But I'll quickly get this polished, then I'll show you what it looks like. And then the next time you'll see it'll be all glued together. Hopefully tomorrow when I can start shaping the handle. Right, let's get this sorted. I dropped a pin somewhere. Now I've got it all stuck together. Right, the handle's all glued up and I've profiled it. I didn't bother filming that because I thought I've done it enough times. But come out alright, hasn't it, with the sides. I've just sanded it down a little bit on side. I still need to make sure that it's the right width on either side. I don't really have a good way of doing it myself. I could do it either getting a bandsaw or maybe even one of those little sanders that I don't even know what they're called. With sanding drum, basically to level everything up and make sure that the handle material is exactly the same on either side. It's one thing, like I say. I've used my bandsaw, but it's not a brilliant bandsaw and it does wave a bit. So that could be something that's on the list. However, it's not far off, and all I'm going to do is mark it with my set squarey thing, wherever it is. I'll have to have a look for that. And basically mark it down on either side, put it on into a big sort of like 36 grit on the belt sander, and grind it down a bit just so it's level on either side, so I know that then it's equal on either side. Then what I'll do is I'll put it onto getting the sculpting around the side, making sure it's the right shape that I want it, so it's almost like that Coke bottle. Not quite a Coke bottle because that seems to be a little bit lower, but basically where this section is here, so it slopes to that bit and then it'll take out a little bit on the inside there, but you'll see that in a minute anyway. Right, where have I put that? Whoa, that's better. Right, so I've got these two. I've been working on two at the same time. So this one is walnut with the Muntjac mosaic pin. That one is all roughly shaped out. I need to just sort that bit out there. Well, I'll say roughly. I've roughly shaped them all out, and then I've gone over them with 180 and 320 grit. So that's what we're down to at the minute. My next job is to sort these scratches out in the on the blade section, on the steel, and then I can clean it up through a bit of 320, 600, 800, and then 1200. But there we go. The kipplauf, not the kipplauf, the K5, which is a kipplauf, but this is the K5 knife, obviously. There we go. What do you reckon? Same again, I just need to clean up all the edges, sort that out, and then I can go through the last few grits, and then we'll have a look then we'll have a look and see where it's, try that again, and then we'll see where it looks like when I put it in the oil, because that's when it'll really make it pop. I won't polish it up till tomorrow because I'll have it soaking in oil overnight. I know it's still stabilised, but you still get that top fibres, and I like to make sure that there's a good coating of oil on before I polish everything up. But I'm quite impressed with myself again. Looks all right. Yes. There we go, all sanded up and ready for the oil. So let's dip it in and see what it looks like. Right, I've moved a bit further on. I've taken out the oil, I've dried it all off, and I've got it on the buffing wheel. There we go. Looking quite nice. Well, I like it anyway. So I've got to, next job is to, well, I'm going to give it a bit of a wax on the handle. Just give it a quick clean up just with a cloth, just to brush it up, and then just to put a bit of wax on the handle. Then I'm going to sharpen it. Once it's sharpened, I can clean the blade off just to make sure everything's all nice spick and span, and then I can show you what it looks like. So here we go. Right, I'm set up with the Tormek and the addition of some better eyes. I've got the blade all in the bracket, just to put it on the Tormek. I've also got a bit of a selection here, so basically I've got some other Cerakoted blades. So it's the white Naked Road Catcher, that's a newest one. I did do a bunch of them, but I knackered up the paintwork on 2 of them. One of them I managed to clank it against another blade, and it took sort of like a swipe at the paintwork before it was dry. So I'm going to have to redo that one. And the other one, there's a couple of specs in it I need to get rid of. And I've also got a black version. Again, this was the one I did with a batch with the K5 blade, and I've got a little Naked Catcher as well. These have all got the logos on already, so I just need to sharpen them all up. So next job, like I say, get them onto the Tormek. I'm going to go through different grits. So I'm going to start off with 80. Is it 80 or is it 60? Let me stop it. So it's an 80 grit, a 160 grit, then 400, then 1000 grit, and then I'll put it on a felt wheel, which I've still got to attach onto this side, which has got a 3000 grit diamond spray on it, which is what I finish off with. Well, apart from still finish off on a strop. So I'll get these all sorted, work my way through them all. Might as well do them as a batch, there's no point doing one at a time, because it's not quite time efficient and they all need doing. So I have put on this one, this is the only one that's not a painted blade, so I've put a bit of black, oh you can't quite see because of the light, a bit of black Sharpie, and then I can see where the blade edges are coming together and it's all nice and clean and level on off the diamond wheel. Once that's right, then I can go on to the 400, well the 160, a couple of passes on that, and then one pass each on the 400 grit. Right, got the, just going to give it a quick check. Make sure I press record this time, to be helpful. Yeah, so we're on it. Take the clamp off. Right, and give it a good 10 strops. Either way, so that's 2, 3, 4, must be 5, 6, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Right, again, the old trusty Shemart catalogue, and oh, nicely done. Yes, lovely, lovely job. Right, just got it all cleaned up now. Right, before I show you the final article, I need to apologise for this video. It's gone a bit long.
but it's just all those little bits to try and, it's a full build, or nearly a full build, and it's all the little bits I needed to try and put into it. And I'm sure Terry's probably got onto his second bowl of porridge by now. Oh, the geese are all over the place. Ed's picked the knife up, and we were hopefully trying to get a video of it in use, but we went out last week, and I must be a jinx because at the minute I can't seem to get onto deer at all. We both saw something before we met up, and then never saw anything else after that. So anyway, but this is the final knife. I hope you like the way that it's all finished off. If you'd like a bespoke blade, make it up. Make sure you get in touch. But other than that, guys, thank you very much, and I will catch you next time.